I think we all know that Star Wars gaming is completely dead at the moment. And in a lot of ways, Star Wars as a whole is also pretty dead. Literally nothing has happened since Star Wars Outlaws was revealed about 2 months ago. And while that is something, Star Wars Outlaws doesn't excite me a lot, and here's why. Yes, I'm excited to get a Star Wars game. Yes, it is coming out pretty soon, actually. It is for sure coming out in 2024, but it's likely going to be the first half of 2024, so we'll get the game fairly soon. And the trailer didn't look bad by any means. However, it just feels familiar, which is weird because in a lot of ways, it really isn't familiar. And to go back even before that, we got Jedi Survivor about 3 months ago in the very end of April. And while it was a very exciting moment for the Star Wars gaming community and about the only thing to happen this year Star Wars gaming related, it's a single player game. And what that means is it doesn't have a long lifespan whatsoever. Most people finish the game within 2 weeks and then they're off with their life. If they really enjoy it, they come back, play it once or twice more, and that's about it. That's how single player games work. And quite frankly, the game was a little disappointing based on the performance issues that it had. I know I had to deal with those. I didn't have it the worst, but I know it was still annoying. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Jedi Survivor is pretty much the only main thing that happened this year revolving around Star Wars gaming. And like I said, Outlaws was announced about 2 months ago. And while it's cool, it just doesn't excite me that much. And that's because it's another single player game. I personally, myself, I need a Star Wars multiplayer game. It has been about 6 years since the last one that I would consider to be like an actually good Star Wars multiplayer game. And that game took about 2 years to even be good. So I guess like 4 then. And Battlefront 2 was a game that I could play nonstop for a year or two, like as my main game. And that doesn't happen very often for me. You know, Battlefront 2 wasn't the best game in the world. However, it was very entertaining, and the updates that they provided up until it was inevitably canceled in April of 2020 were really good. Since then, really the only multiplayer Star Wars game we have received is Star Wars Squadrons, which I personally, I don't want to talk about that game. I couldn't care less about that game. I know some people like it, and props to you, I just don't care about it. So we are long overdue for a multiplayer Star Wars game. And the fact that we don't have any announced for the near future is kind of scaring me. We have Star Wars Outlaws, which is coming out probably early next year. And then they're also making a first-person shooter Star Wars game, which is going to be single player as well, unfortunately. And then on top of that, we have Star Wars Eclipse, which is probably not going to come out for like 6 years. And that's also going to be single player. And then on top of that, I'm sure there's going to be a continuation of the Jedi series. What is the issue that those 4 games have in common, to me at least, and I think to many others as well? They are all going to be single player games. And while, like I said, I enjoy single player games, especially, you know, really good ones. However, me personally, I enjoy multiplayer games more. And why that is because the longevity that those games provide, especially as someone who makes videos around these Star Wars games. I can make hundreds of videos about Battlefront 2, but in reality, I could maybe squeeze out like 15 videos out of like a Jedi Survivor if I really wanted to. And on top of that, the main thing is people get bored of single player games a lot quicker. You know, as I said before, their lifespan is just shorter. So maybe you could make like 200 Jedi Survivor videos. There's just not going to be that many people who watch. Most of the best performing videos on my channel are actually Battlefront 2 related, and these were released in 2021, 2022, like 2 years after the game was just completely dead, like no more updates. So it just goes to show the longevity of multiplayer games, especially good ones. And you know, there are mods for these games, like Battlefront 2, you know, there's Battlefront 2 mods, which mostly are cosmetic. There are some that aren't, and those do add new gameplay features, but you do have to play those online. The mods are cool, but they're kind of just like putting like a patch on a boat. You know, it's gonna maybe for a split second keep it together, but after that, it's just all gonna fall apart. After like a year and a half, 2 years of playing Battlefront 2, it just wasn't as fun for me, especially with the just idea of there being no more updates coming soon. And I think most of you can feel where I'm coming from as well. So, I mean, just for me personally, I am just in desperate need for a Star Wars multiplayer game, or even just one to be announced. I just even rumors, I need something. I need something. If you don't know, EA had a deal with Disney that lasted 10 years where only they could make Star Wars games. So that's where they made, you know, the Jedi games, the Battlefront games, Squadrons, other games like that. They had a deal with them for 10 years, and that deal is now up. So other companies like Ubisoft, who I've mentioned, can now make Star Wars games. So personally, I thought there'd be more people like rushing out there to try to make a multiplayer Star Wars game now that, you know, the license is open. I'm just a little disappointed that, at least that we know of, nobody's jumping on to make a multiplayer game. I'm sure there's a studio or two working in the shadows about it that we just don't know of yet, but at the end of the day, we don't know right now. I'm just waiting for the announcement. I'm waiting for something exciting to happen. I will probably play all these single player games that are coming out, and I'll probably enjoy them, but I'm just really banking on, not only for my enjoyment, but for content creation as a whole, for a really good multiplayer Star Wars game. Oh, and especially with how the gaming industry is right now, like it used to be maybe, you know, Warzone was really big for like a year and a half. Fortnite was really big for like a year and a half. I mean, they're still big, they're still popular, but they're not huge anymore. And I think, you know, Star Wars is an IP that has the potential to completely take up all that. I think it's a missed opportunity. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure something will happen eventually. But yeah, I'll be updating you guys on any Star Wars gaming news. I might also make some videos about other games as well. Like my last video was about a game called BattleBit, which I think is pretty fun. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Go check out my last video up here, and my video before that over here. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Bye.